What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the New Era Prep Show here on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. I'm your host, Christian Prosh, and I hope everybody's having a great Wednesday afternoon. I know I am because guess what? We got some high school football on deck tomorrow, and it's going to be some bangers. Um, Y'all probably saw the opening of the title. Ray Lewis is FAU head coach? Question mark? Question mark. That's right. We're going to talk about that in the later part of the episode. But first, we're going to once again do all things high school football. Then we'll move into a little bit of recruiting stuff today. A lot of FAU talk because there's been a lot of buzz around the Owls over the past couple days. And then finally, we're going to talk some high school basketball. And then I'll let you guys enjoy the remainder of your evening while I just remembered that I had to take a math test by 11:59. So thank God we air at 5:30 on Wednesdays. But without further ado, let's dive straight into it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go more of an in-depth breakdown. A lot of teams are now eliminated from playoff contention, so we can really spend some time talking about different teams, X factors, stuff like that. You know the drill. We're going to do it, but just on a little bit broader of a or more of a narrow scale today. First game I want to talk about is St. Andrews traveling down to Chaminade Madonna. I think that this St. Andrews going into this game, St. Andrews, a lot of people did not think would be here. Being able to come out after losing four key stars from last season, practically rebuilding, having to have next man up the entire season, having a little bit of issues offensively, especially with health, being able to come into the second week of the playoffs, have a district championship under their belt again this year, then win the first playoff game for the Scotties in over 50 years. Like I said, St. Andrews is not supposed to be here. according to a lot of people. So I do want to just give a big shout out before we really break into it to Coach Robertson, Coach Gadd, and everybody else down in St. Andrews. What you guys are doing is incredible. A lot of people, including myself, thought that this was going to be a quote unquote down year for the Scotties. But listen, they're playing in the third week of November, so they're doing all right for themselves. St. Andrews is coming into this game. They're pretty hot right now. Jack Williams at quarterback has really gotten into his stride. They've been working more of a two-back set with Jerron Miller and Ollie Vickers-Murphy. And then one of the big ones is Notre Dame commit three-star wide receiver Dylan Faison, who has really stepped up over the past couple weeks, has really been one of the top, one of the top wide receiver two-way players as well on the squad. So Faison, expect a big game out of him as always. Defensively for the Scotties, their biggest X factor, first off, is Faison at DB, but then also edge rusher Ethan Friesel, who just broke St. Andrews' program record for career sacks a couple weeks ago. That is a guy I do want to talk about. Kid's an absolute dog. He's really blown up onto the scene this year, really made his senior season, taking the most advantage out of his senior season. Then you've obviously got Ollie Vickers-Murphy over top at linebacker, who's just been a workhorse. Like I said, two-way player, really dominated this year. Daxon Bass at safety has had a very strong year, recently committed to Denison. Very good school, by the way. Very good school. But I think the biggest winner of this season for St. Andrews came from tight end Quinn Connors, who coming in from Pinecrest this year, has really blown up his junior year, proven to be one of the better tight ends in our area. When talking to Coach Gadd and talking to Coach Robertson, they are so high on Quinn. The sky is the limit for this kid, and I'm expecting big remainder of the postseason for him to cap off a very excellent junior season. Taking things over to Chaminade now. Everybody knows that the Nod boys are good at football. They're all right. Being able to have stars all over the field. Beckham Kritza, four-star Penn State commit quarterback, one of the tallest people you'll ever stand next to. Denarius Gray at wide receiver. Derek Cooper, five-star, number one athlete in the country. Yep, Chaminade has the star power to compete with everybody, which is why they're a perennial powerhouse every year. Going into this game, I do think St. Andrews is going to be outmatched as far as talent goes on the field. However, St. Andrews is a team, like I said, they are not supposed to be here. They've been turning heads all year. I expect them to put some points up, but ultimately I do think Chaminade comes out on top. Then taking things over to Jupiter High versus Dr. Phillips. I think this is going to be a very, very good football game. Jupiter High, another team who a lot of people did not think they were going to be here. Losing both of the Douglas brothers last year or this offseason. Luke Douglas graduating, going to Florida State, and then Preston Douglas going out to Benjamin. A lot of people initially wrote off Jupiter as another rebuilding year. We spoke with Coach Cradman about how his team unified over the offseason, especially really early in the season. We got him on the show. I would say watch that one back, but I know that it is way too far gone, and y'all are not scrolling through the YouTube that far to find it. But great segment. So yeah, I think Jupiter is a squad who, like St. Andrews, has been turning a lot of heads this season in a very, very positive way. True freshman quarterback Andrew Embick had a game last week. 3 touchdown performance for him. All around very dominant. Very, very good win for Jupiter over Treasure Coast. Then when you've got hang on one second, Max Preps decided not to load a workhorse running back like Chris Van Horn, who is just absolutely lit it up all season, averaging well over 85 yards per game, getting more into that 100-yard club most nights. 2 touchdowns pretty much every night. Yeah, Chris Van Horn has had an excellent senior season. KJ Larson, tight end, defensive end, has been the star of the show offensively. In the receiving game, I mean, he's had a very strong junior season. So we got another year of KJ. We graduate a lot of senior tight ends this year. So I do believe that KJ is going to stand out as a top 2 tight end going into next year easily. But KJ has had a very good season as well. Um, and then on defense, Nico Casella, Reagan Fowl, those guys have been active, very like they've really carried the load in the front seven. Shane Hollinger and Jaden Jackson in the secondary, they have really held down a lot of passing attacks. So all in all, I do think Jupiter is a squad who has the potential and the personnel to compete with pretty much anybody in the state of Florida. But Dr. Phillips is a damn good football team, ladies and gentlemen. Biggest game plan is against Amari Major, running back, wide receiver. They run him out of more of a Christian McCaffrey type, like a PPR back for all of my fantasy football nerds. That's what Amari Major brings to Dr. Phillips' offense. 115 yards per game. Um, he's been absolutely lights out. Unfortunately, can't get complete stats because Dr. Phillips' school just doesn't like to update their damn max preps. But Amari's been a very good running back all season. Cameron Dixon at wide receiver, another X Factor guy. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go against Jupiter this week, but I do think it's going to be a very, very close game. Give me Dr. Phillips coming out of this one. Cardinal Newman versus the community school. This is no brainer. Cardinal Newman is running through this game. Not a lot of analysis on this. Once again, every week I say Jalen Brown's going to have a very good game. Jaron Hewley's going to have a very good game. Max Redman's going to have a very good game. So I'm just beating the dead horse with this because guess what? Every week they prove me right. Expect another big Russian performance from J-Bo. That's my expert analysis on this one. Western versus Boca High. These are two teams a lot of people did not think were going to be in this position. For Western, graduating Davi Belfort and Tovani Mizell, and then losing Kobe Howard to Chaminade. A lot of people were like, Western is not going to be a good football team going into this year. Boca High losing a couple key seniors, and then Chance Routzen going to Palm Beach Central. Same thing. A lot of people wrote off Boca. I'm going to keep saying it because it's accurate for all three, St. Andrews, Jupiter, and Boca. They're not supposed to be here. Boca High was not projected to win their district. They came out and punched people in the mouths 2 years in a row, securing 2 consecutive district championships under the Savakinas era of Boca High football. I think this is going to be a very, very, very good football game. Boca High showed that when they are down in a deficit like last week, they can come back and win a close football game, being able to defeat a very good Goldman team. Big X factor of this game is going to be Mason Chapman. I think Chapman is going to have a very good game under center, and he's going to be feeding with his receivers, Jordan Davis, Caleb Ayala, and Jaden Blakesley. There we go. I can't speak today. In the backfield, Ryan Platten and Adon Ellman have had very good seasons. I really like this 2-back set, especially I think Platt is going to have a very good game as well. Defensively, I've got Brody Castolo. I've said it for the past 6 weeks now. Brody Castolo is playing like the best linebacker in Palm Beach County football. Brody Castolo is a damn good football player. So I do think that he is going to pop off against a Western team that does like to go over the middle. You got to be a fool to throw over the middle, knowing that you got Thad Castle over the middle. Yep, that's right, Brody. You play like a frat bro. If you guys haven't watched Blue Mountain State, it is a very good TV show. Mitchell versus West Boca, 11-0 versus 11-0. This is going to be a good football game. I'm giving it to West Boca, though. Obviously, I said that West Boca is going to run through the region straight into the state Final Four. I do believe that this is going to be more of a test than last week's game. We could be seeing the return of Javian Mallory, who's been inactive for the past 2 games. However, West Boca's offense has looked just fine, hasn't skipped a beat without Javian Mallory. Mason Mallory under center, finding Mark Hannaford, Billy Clancy, Kyle Andrews, Jaden Elder, just to name a couple receivers. They even throw Demetrius Gathers and Jaden Broadnax, four-star receiver, or four-star DB. They throw them into the receiving game every now and again if they're feeling really risky. I do think that West Boca is going to kind of do more of a one quarterback set as opposed to the two QB set that they've been really working throughout the year. I do think that Mason Mallory is going to take the overwhelming majority of the snaps. Trey Moran's going to get in at some point, but I do believe at least 85% of the snaps will be all things Mallory. Biggest X factor is, does Javian Mallory come back? I think if anything, they're going to work him in. They're not going to have him as a workhorse with 30, 40 carries on the night. But I could see maybe a 10, 15, 20 carry night out of Mallory with maybe Jaden Lockhart getting more of the workhorse performance. Defensively, West Boca's defense, I've said it multiple times, best defense in the state of Florida. I think that they're going to stun a very good Mitchell team. 1 second, Max Preps is pulling up stats right now. There we go. Corey Sims, ladies and gentlemen, 141 yards per game on the ground. Shut that dude down. And guess what? West Boca has the front seven to be able to take advantage of that. I think being able to have Xavier Reed, Demetrius Gathers, Max Reed, Grant Edmond in the trenches, those guys are going to stun Sims and really try to neutralize him as best as they can. Like I said, 141 yards per game, 24 total tackles on the year, total touchdowns on the year. Corey Sims, he's all right at football, ladies and gentlemen. Vero Beach versus Palm Beach Central. This is going to be a very good football game. This one's going to go down to the wire. Wonderful Champ Mons from Vero has had a very good freshman year. And to cap it all off, he's going to try to pull an upset, ladies and gentlemen. Palm Beach Central is the 1 seed in the region. And Champ Mons is going, and the Vero Fighting Indians are going to try to really just shake some things up in Region 7A, Region 4. Then we've got on defense, name of the game, TJ Alford. How well is the four-star Ohio State commit linebacker going to pop off on what may be his last game of his high school career, or they may live to fight another day? Vero is a very, very, very good football team. This is it. This game is must-watch television because a very strong Vero defense versus a very electric Palm Beach Central offense. We talk about Chance Routson, Nedrick Bolden, Kamari Williams, Preston Parker, Mattis Gibson on offense all the time. Frankie Vomero, Drew Ulysses out at running back. Something that Fort Pierce Central tried to do against Palm Beach Central was neutralize Kamari Williams. That meant that Nedrick Bolden had a 75-plus yard game. Preston Parker had another 50 yards. Mattis Gibson had a couple catches himself, and Frankie Vomero was just pounding the rock. So the thing with Palm Beach Central is you try to neutralize one of those threats. It's kind of like a Hydra. I don't know if anybody's ever read Greek mythology or anything like that, but the 9-headed Hydra, that's Palm Beach Central's offense. Cut off one of the heads. Good job. You haven't killed it. 2 more heads come back. I could see this being another example of neutralize one of the weapons. Kamari Williams, I do believe, is the biggest X factor on Palm Beach Central's offense. So shut Bebo down and then make Nedrick Bolden, Preston Parker, Mattis Gibson, whoever win that game. That is not a knock on any of the 3 names I just said. They are very talented football players. But what I mean is one of those guys is your game plan focus on film, and I do believe that it is going to be Bebo. Miramar versus Atlantic. This is going to be a very good game. Atlantic's going to run away with this one. Teddy Hoffman, guys, he's good at football. I'm not showboating or anything because he's an FAU commit. Teddy Hoffman is a very good football player. Why is my dad calling me? Dad, you know I'm on the air right now. Teddy, very, very, very good football player. Has been averaging 2-3 touchdowns pretty much every game. Um, I think same thing. I don't really think Miramar has an answer the Atlantic um, for the Atlantic offense. Being able to have Teddy Hoffman, Kimari Walcott, James Jones, and then DeAndre Desner out at running back, Dylan Ely running back too. Atlantic's got a stout offense featuring quarterback Lincoln Graff. Said it Monday. Got 100 career touchdowns at Atlantic. Congrats, Lincoln. Also, Lincoln just dropped O from Kaiser. Congratulations again. Um, all in all, I think Atlantic runs away with this one. Kings Academy versus Cardinal Mooney. Another game where people did not expect TKA to be playing this game. TKA having such an elite offense, man. You guys do not understand how good this connection between Joe Daly and Javian Jones is. You need to watch it for yourselves to see, oh my God, these guys are really, really, really good at football. So with that being said, I think TKA is coming in as an underdog. However, TK has shown throughout the season that they have the guys in order to win themselves a football game. Javian Jones putting TK on his back last week, 200-yard receiving performance, 11 catches, 3 receiving touchdowns. Joe Daly, Coach Evans, we had him on the show the other day. He spoke about how Joe Daly's biggest asset is the fact that he is sneakily one of the fastest dudes on the field. He can get up 0 yards to 20 yards pretty much as quick as anybody else you could think on the field. So his explosiveness, his burst is something that sets him apart. Defensively, Levi Champion, been a dog. I love watching Levi Champion play football. He plays with heart and he plays with balls. I think Levi Champion is going to do what he needs to do to fortify this field. Cardinal Mooney is no small task, ladies and gentlemen. First off, biggest asset for Cardinal Mooney is their trenches. They have their O line is huge. They're huge and they're athletic. Biggest asset for this is in the run game. Running backs just disappear in the trenches. You don't know where the guy goes. Chemistry Young, sorry, I was trying to make sure I didn't mispronounce his name. In the receiving game has been a very good asset for Cardinal Mooney. I think that he's had an outstanding junior season. 49 yards per game, 9 touchdowns on the year. Young has had, like I said, a very, very good junior season. Like I said, biggest winner is the trenches for Cardinal Mooney. Um, I I don't know. I think Kings has always had a very undersized offensive line, undersized front seven. This is going to be a very strong task for TK to overcome in the trenches. But if I know anything about a Dan Burek-led football team, is they find ways to win games. So I think it's going to be, once again, a closer game than a lot of people may have on paper. But TK riding hot off of a very good win over Calvary. I like Cardinal Mooney in a nail biter. Pahokee versus Union County. Name of the game is Rayshawn Brown, and he is a damn good running back. Rayshawn Brown is just going to pound the rock. That is what's been the bread and butter for Pahokee all year, and I think that he's just going to keep pounding the rock. Like I said, almost 120 yards per game. 1 second, there we go. It says 5 total touchdowns on Max Reps. That can't be right because every game I see Rayshawn Brown getting into that end zone. Union County is another very good football team. Drew Simmons, 130 yards per game, 19 total touchdowns on the year. Shut him down defensively and make Union County throw the ball. I'm not really impressed with their receiving core on film. I think it is the Simmons show easily. So right now it's Pahoke's defensive game plan is just shut down Drew Simmons. And then finally, our last Palm Beach game that I want to talk about, or the last Palm Beach game that we can talk about, is Benjamin versus First Baptist Academy. Excuse me. Benjamin coming off of a very, very dominant win featuring a 3 touchdown performance from Preston Douglas, NC State commit tight end, alongside 2 sacks and a forced fumble out of him. 2 rushing touchdowns out of Phoenix Dongia. Benjamin is playing some very good football, especially in the tail end of this season. First Baptist, I really like what they do offensively. They're more of a balanced offense. They play complementary football very well. Sam Sapratio out at running back, 75 yards per game. Bradley Martino, 77 yards per game in the receiving end of things. Then you got Jaden Petit, there we go. Jaden Petit and Sam Soprano, who are able to move into the receiving game. All in all, I think this is a very balanced offense for First Baptist Academy. I do like Benjamin running away with this one in a landslide once again. So out of Palm Beach County, who do I think is going to move on to next week? Looking at the matchups, I do believe that Cardinal Newman moves on. I believe West Boca moves on. Palm Beach Central, Atlantic, and Pahokee. So those are the 5 that, if you remember, I did say on air this time last week would be moving on at least to a state Final Four bid. I can also see, or Benjamin will move on this week. I do believe Benjamin beats First Baptist Academy. And then I'm going to be really bold tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I think Boca High beats Western, and I think TKA beats Cardinal Mooney. That is my hot take of the week. I think TKA completely shocks the 2A region that they're in, I believe Region 3, taking down the 1 seed. Give me TKA, and then I believe Boca High takes down Western. We're going to take things to a quick little break. When we come back, we're going to talk about that FAU head coach vacancy, and we're going to talk some high school basketball. Stay tuned. We will be right back. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the New Era Prep Show here on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. I'm your host, Christian Proscia. And one last thing I forgot to talk about high school football-wise was the other night, the CBS announced the Nat Moore Trophy finalists. For those that don't know what the Nat Moore Trophy is, it is a trophy celebrating the most outstanding player in the Broward and Miami-Dade and Monroe County areas. Basically, like I said, most outstanding player on the field and off the field. You got to be a baller. And it's a senior-only award. So it is a senior. Who is the best senior on and off the field? The other night, it was announced, and we're going to go through the finalists really quick. First off, Ben Hanks, wide receiver, defensive back, 5-star from Booker T, Washington. Absolute dog. University of Florida commit. defensive back primarily. Very strong senior season out of Ben Hanks. I'll pull stats in a second. Malachi Toney, wide receiver, American Heritage Plantation, 4-star wide receiver, University of Miami commit. Ezekiel Marcellin, linebacker from Miami Central, another Canes commit. And then finally, EJ Yapor, quarterback from Miami Norland. Let me pull up stats really quick just so that way we have a little more to talk about on this. Let me find it. 305 Sports. Why do you guys post so much? Oh, my goodness. I'll find it. There we go. Malachi Toney, almost 1,200 all-purpose yards and 12 touchdowns, well over 50 catches on the year. So that's Mally's stats. Ben Hanks has 9 interceptions as a defensive back. I don't know why you would throw on the 5-star defensive back. That in itself raises some questions. How does this dude have 9 interceptions? Why are you throwing on him? I don't understand. EJ Yapor, 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on the year, and over 3,000 yards, is currently the all-time record holder for for Broward or Miami-Dade County, for career passing yards. And then finally, Zeke Marcellin, 60 tackles and 15 TFLs on the year. Those are the 4 finalists for the Nat Moore Trophy. Who do you guys think is going to win? Me personally, I have my money on Malachi Toney. I think he's going to be the 2024 Nat Moore Trophy recipient, and it is more than justified, more than deserved. So that's my little breakdown on the 4 finalists. Once again, Ben Hanks, Zeke Marcellin, Mally Toney, and EJ Yapor. Taking things over to Boca Raton, where I'm currently at right now. As y'all know by the background behind me, I'm at Grandma's place while they're at work right now. Open crib, you know what that means? It means it's New Era Prep Show night. But taking things out to FAU. For those that don't remember, around 1 p.m. on Monday afternoon, FAU football and head coach Tom Herman parted ways following a 2-8 beginning to the season. Coach Herman with, I believe, a 4-16 record in his tenure at FAU. Not what a lot of FAU fans were thinking when it came to what Tom Herman was going to bring to FAU. When Coach Herman got hired shortly after the firing of Willie Taggart, myself included with a lot of the FAU faithful were very, very excited to see what he was going to bring to FAU. Obviously, very storied coaching career, both at Houston, Texas. Lot of very strong stops for Coach Herman. Unfortunately, his time at FAU was not what a lot of people thought it would be. Like I said, 4-8 last year, 2-8 this year. Not good football at FAU right now. So earlier on Monday, FAU fired Coach Herman, or Herman was let go. There's now a head coach vacancy. Coach Chad Lunsford, special teams and tight ends coach, will be taking over head coach duties for the remainder of the season, but the search is hot. And boy, was the search really heating up when at around 10 o'clock this morning, Adam Schefter tweets out that Ray Lewis, the NFL Hall of Fame linebacker from the Baltimore Ravens, that Ray Lewis was going to be a potential candidate for the FAU head coaching vacancy. Immediately, Twitter blew up. A whole lot of WTF, holy craps was going on in Boca Raton because it's Ray Lewis is being interviewed to be the head coach of FAU. That in itself puts butts in the seats, ladies and gentlemen. That is something I'm very high on. I would be very interested to see Ray Lewis coaching, just in general. But coach, the biggest red flag to a lot of people, myself included, is Ray Lewis has no prior coaching experience. At whether it's at the high school level, the FCS, JUCO, FBS level, you name it. Not even as a coordinator or nothing. It is literally they're just trying, like it would be he's trying to pull a Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, without like taking the stops that Coach Prime took before. Within the hour, there was a couple things debunking, whereas Ray Lewis is allegedly not being interviewed. This has never happened. I don't know how to feel on that because the people that were shutting it down versus Adam Schefter, I think Adam Schefter is more of a reliable source when it comes to a lot of things. So there's a lot of question marks surrounding this right now. Um, as far as a coaching carousel goes, there is some talks about potential head coach candidates for the Owls. First off, for all of the commits watching, um, because I know a lot of you guys do watch my show, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you to everybody that does watch. But for the verbal commits, seniors going into the tail end of your seasons, FAU is set to have a head coach decision by National Signing Day, is what the reports are being held. FAU is supposed to have a coach by the time you're signing your letter of intent. So in case nobody has said that to you yet, I don't know why that hasn't, would have been or whatever, but FAU is set to have a head coach hired by National Signing Day. You know what you're getting into by signing day. Why I bring that up is um, FAU is currently, obviously, looking around for potential head coaches, and two of the biggest names right now in the coaching realm who may take over the Owls that is not Ray Lewis is Georgia assistant head coach and tight ends coach Todd Hartley, who, like I said, Georgia tight ends, immediate first guy that comes to mind, Brock Bowers. That dude is good at football, ladies and gentlemen. So the guy that coached Brock Bowers for a couple years, maybe taking over the reins at FAU. And then a name that Owls fans are a little more familiar with is Charlie West Jr., who was the who is the current OC at Ole Miss, the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Ole Miss. Spent time at FAU during the Kiffin administration. Don't remember exactly what his role was. That was long before my time. But Coach West has experience in Boca Raton. Would be awesome to have him come back. Would be awesome to have Coach Hartley come back. For a full breakdown on the Coach Hartley and what he could bring to FAU, Owls 247 did a very good breakdown on their site. So tune in, read Luke Cheney's piece, put in the comments, oh, hey, Christian sent you. But right now, those are two of the names. Charlie West, Todd Hartley, and possibly Ray Lewis could be taking over the reins of FAU football in the very, very near future. Like I said, hope to have an announcement on who is going to be the head coach by National Signing Day. Obviously, right now, do not know who it's going to be. We are still in the early stages of this, but there we have it. More things concerning FAU. We had a very, very good basketball game being held at the Ellie last night between Prolific Prep and Miami Columbus. What I didn't realize going into the game, because I'm not big on the national high school basketball scene, is this was a top 5 national matchup. Miami Columbus, the number 1 team in the country, hosting Prolific Prep, the number 5 team out of California. So number 1 versus number 5. Very good basketball game. I don't call it an upset, but I guess we can call it that. Prolific Prep defeated Columbus 66-54 in what ended up being a dominant game from Kansas signee 5-star Darren Peterson. 33 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks for the 5-star combo guard. Remember, Kansas signee, number 3 recruit in the country. Yeah, this kid's good at basketball, ladies and gentlemen, and wow. Being able to watch this kid in person, that was awesome. When watching the game, you were like, yeah, there's going to be future NBA players on this court. And those guys, top to bottom, were legit. So let's talk about Prolific first. Obviously, Darren Peterson, 33-point night for him. No small task. Nico Bundalo with a double-double. Currently uncommitted right now, I believe. I don't remember who On3 had as his projection. I believe it was Wisconsin. 31st recruit like national recruit, number 5th recruit in out of California. 11 points, 14 boards, double-double for Nico. Michigan signee Winters Grady had a very strong performance as well, looked really good. A lot of assists. I believe he had 12 assists on the night. Speaking of Michigan, we're going to get to that in a second, but Seven Spurlock, 3-star recruit in the class of 26 with a 9-point performance and 6 rebounds. Another strong performance out of him. And then taking things over to Miami Columbus, Caleb Gaskins, who just transferred in from Montverde with a 15-point night. Cameron Boozer, another 15-point night. Jackson Richardson, 12 points and 10 rebounds. Cameron Boozer, like I said, 15 points, 9 rebounds. Caden Boozer, 7 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 steals. As far as national rankings go, Cameron Boozer, the 6'9" forward out of Miami Columbus, number 2 recruit in the country, Duke signee alongside his brother Caden. And then Darren Peterson, number 3 recruit in the country, Kansas signee. I do expect there to be a jump in the national recruit rankings. Darren Peterson had himself a very good basketball game, and because of that, I do believe he should be the number 1 recruit in the country when they decide to update the rankings. I bring up Michigan because this was something that made my heart warm. I was shooting the game, and I look up for whatever reason. I look up and I look courtside. I'm looking at all the courtside baddies out in the alley, and somebody catches my eye, and that would be the one and only Mr. Dusty May, who used to be the head coach of FAU basketball, now the head coach of Michigan basketball. Coach May, for those that don't know, for whatever reason, led FAU to 2 consecutive March Madness appearances with a 2023 Final Four run as the head coach of the Owls. One of the best coaches in college basketball, even better person, even better friend of mine. Dusty was sitting courtside with his whole family, and they were alongside a couple of assistants watching Winters Grady. So yeah, it was really good to catch up with Coach May, give him a hug, talk to his wife, son Charlie. Everybody was out. So it was really good to see that the Mays were back in Boca. A lot of the FAU fans that were there went up to Dusty, shook his hand. We're chopping it up with him. A bunch of people in athletics administration. Athletic director Brian White was out in attendance. So it was really good to see that a lot of people were wishing Dusty a very warm welcome back to the Ellie. But as far as high school basketball is concerned, we talked on the national scale, but let's take things over to more of a local scene. First off, for Palm Beach County, we are still for both men's and women's basketball. We are still breaking down a preliminary top 10 ranking as well as a couple players list, like a couple player power rankings of preseason. These are the names to know for Palm Beach County basketball. Men's basketball, 3 guys that really have stood out to me over the past couple weeks when breaking down film is Javian Jones from Kings Academy. Like I said, he's a good football player. He's an even better hooper, ladies and gentlemen. Javian Jones is a better hooper than he's a football player, and he just put up 225 yards on a team on playing football. So Javian Jones right now is my preseason number 1 player in Palm Beach County. Then also notable names from Palm Beach is Wellington High's Dakota Izzard and St. Andrews' Brooklyn Vick. Both of those guys, I do believe, are going to have very good senior seasons alongside Javian Jones. These are guys that I feel like have been around forever. Been able to watch those guys hoop since they were true freshmen. Really high on the 3 of them. So I do want to just give them a shout out. Once again, looking to get more of a top 5 to top 10 ranking. We're going to break that down. Some of the panel for the women's basketball rankings, they were more than receptive, and they were stat dumping their whole rosters. So I'm gonna start with TKA because those are my alma mater, where some of the best women's basketball being played in Palm Beach County has come out of TKA. You've got Jade Jones, Julia Vasquez, Brielle George, Maddie Bocelli, and Sophia Kateris, who have just been household women's basketball names in the Palm Beach County scene over the past couple of years. I think having a healthy big three of Jade Jones, Julia Vasquez, and Soso Kateris is going to be a very, very good recipe for TKA success. Like I said, TKA has had very deep playoff state pushes over the past couple of years, making state Final Four consecutive years. Having so much talent, Monique Joseph, Janessa Williams, just to name a few of JoJo Race, just to name three seniors that have come and gone out of the program now playing college ball. So I do want to just talk about TKA. I think Coach Race right now out of TKA is coming in as a preseason Coach of the Year favorite, to nobody's surprise, because once again, I think he's won it 3 years in a row, could be winning it 3-4 years in a row. But him, alongside a lot of the other panel, was very high on Grandview Prep out of Boca Raton, who quote unquote has 4 Division I players on their roster, including Lena Girardi and Abby Price, as their 2 real breadwinners on this squad. Those are 2 to really keep an eye on this year. Grandview Prep, one of the smaller schools in our area, absolute ballers though. Somerset Canyons having Alana Fabrini, Tatiana Campese Pickney, and Alana Pinnock. Supposedly Somerset is a very up-and-coming program for women's basketball. Going to be tuning in a lot of Somerset basketball. And then finally, Boca High, Amara Coney has been stealing the show for the Bobcats. Right now, preliminary preseason power rankings, we have a shift where for first time in a couple of years, TKA is not the preseason favorite. Grandview Prep is, we have them at the 1, TK at the 2, Somerset at the 3, and then Boca High. That's what we're looking right now at a preseason top 4 for women's basketball. We're more along with that list than we are with the men's team because we've just been debating endlessly for hours. But yeah, that's everything to do right now with high school basketball. We're getting back into the swing of things with high school basketball. A lot of the top hoopers in our area are still playing playoff football. So right now, a lot of teams aren't as good on paper as what they can be in the next couple weeks. So we're letting everybody kind of kick the dust off, get all those bad shooting performances out of them to be able to watch some good basketball, especially after the high school football state championships. So stay tuned for what we got coming for high school basketball, because we're about to have some bangers coming through, at least through New Era Prep. I don't know about anybody else, but I know New Era Prep's going to have some good high school basketball content. ESPN West Palm's going to kill it as always. Me, Cade, Theo Dorsey will just be having a grand old time on some baselines. Palm Beach Post will be out and about as well. Want to shout those future draft style. All the best outlets in Palm Beach County, especially with when high school comes around. Future draft style is going to snap. Rangeman Films is another one. Just wanted to shout out some of my friends in the industry before we end things. But like I said, we're winding down here on our time. Bleacher Brothers show is coming up next. Stay tuned for that. Supposedly AJ's got a banger segment. He's going to talk about the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. All I got to say is if we want to see young dudes beat up a bunch of old dudes, me and AJ are getting in the ring next for another title fight. I'm getting $40 million out of it. AJ's not getting a dime. But in all seriousness, tune into AJ's show. It's coming in the next couple minutes. Stay tuned for that. As far as coverage for this week, we will have coverage of high school football playoffs tomorrow and Friday. As always, Palm Beach, Treasure Coast, Broward, and Miami-Dade counties. And then Saturday, big kahuna. We got FAU football on deck. Very interested to see what's going to happen out at FAU football senior day. And then finally, we got Miami Hurricanes football, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Cam Ward senior night. That's right. Cam Ward is finally out of college eligibility. Unfortunately, our year with our glorious King Cam Ward is rapidly coming to a close. Very unfortunate, but the Canes are looking to bounce back after a bye week and that loss to Georgia Tech that I don't want to talk about. with a matchup against Wake Forest. Tune into that game because the way that Wake Forest has ran their offensive scheme versus some of the struggles that Miami has had on defense, I could see I'm predicting a very big game out of Wake Forest wide receiver Micah Mays, who Benjamin High alum, Palm Beach Gardens native. I'm really hoping for a big homecoming game for Micah. Him and his former Benjamin teammate Jacob Cosby Mosley are making the trip down to Coral Gables for the Demon Deeks. So stay tuned for coverage of those guys. Love them both to pieces. Really excited to see them both at the game. But yeah, we'll be on the field. Myself and Speaky will be on the field. Cass will be doing her thing as well. We're gonna have some bangers coming out of the U on Saturday. Once again, everybody, appreciate you for tuning in. For New Era Prep and Bleacher Brothers, I'm Krisha Prosha. I will see you guys next week.